Daily Broadside, day 992. My 991 didn't post on TikTok, no matter how many times I tried. I don't know what kind of glitch was going on there, but it's on YouTube if you want to go watch it. It's rather insightful. I talk about relationships. Anyway, so get this. I was coming off the highway the other day, and I was in Raleigh, North Carolina, the capital of Carolina del Norte. And I'm coming down the ramp, downshifting, I'm slowing down. And right as I get to like the stop bar to go right on red, I like states that have left on red. I think they should be in North Carolina too. I mean, I can discern when on a T intersection I can go left. I can go right on red. If you trust me to go right on red, you can damn sure trust me to go left on red. A izquierda es no derecho. All right, so I'm coming to the stop, right? And I'm listening to music, and all of a sudden, Jason Isbell's "I Don't Want to Die in a Super 8 Motel." Super 8 comes on, right? And that song just jumps right in. Just click, 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 bam, right? And as soon as I hear the first couple words, I look to my right because I'm getting ready to turn, and I look right, I look left, I look right. No, I look left, I look right, I look left again. Whatever it is. I know how to drive. But I see a Super 8, right? And I was like, what is this universe all about? And I looked it up. There's 2 Super 8s in Raleigh. Kind of a big city. It's got to be 120 square miles of that damn place. And there's 2 Super 8. Like you go months without seeing a Super 8. And there it is right when the song comes on. I don't get that. Great song, but it's just weird, you know? I was in a grocery store probably like 20 some years ago. It was a Bilo. So it was kind of like I would call that like a medium grade. It wasn't like an IGA, but it wasn't like a Harry's Teeter or like a Publix, kind of thing. I would put Publix at the top of the chain, or a Wegmans. God, Wegmans, be still my heart. Wegmans is, man, that place is, that's another level grocery. That's like top tier. That makes Harris Teeter look like the IGA. But we're not here to talk about grocery store, hierarchy. We're here to talk about the fact that I'm in the front talking to some assistant manager, and this lady walks up and she speaks to another assistant. Grocery stores have like 11 assistant managers, and she's like, Harry, and she like knew him by name. I'm like, what the hell? How often you shop here? I go here weekly. I don't know anybody by name. And she's like, could we get some? And I don't remember what she wanted, but she was like, some Cadbury olives, or some crazy brand of what, some specific, like they carry olives, but she wanted this brand, right? And he's like, yeah, June. I'm like, her name? Like what? How many people shop here? There's got to be like 4,000 people that shop here. And so they and so he goes and he gets a pen and he writes it on this list that's on the wall. And there's 10 or 11 things already written on there, like whatever. I'm not going to list them because I don't remember. But it was all this random food. And I'm like, and that's when it was kind of like when Eddie Murphy dressed up as a white dude on SNL, and then he realized that like white people just get everything for free, and it was that kind of thing, which only I wish, but we don't, unfortunately. I just went in a store, they made me pay for it, I was kind of like, but they were like, you can put your card in anytime. I'm like, oh, I see how it is. Okay, so the skit was right, or was wrong rather. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, so it was kind of like that. You're like, is this how this system works? Like if there's something at your grocery store that doesn't jive with you and they don't offer, you just go and be like, you get that for me? And they'll be like, it's like putting in an order in a prison. Red from Shawshank. The grocery manager's like Red, and they're like, assistant manager, I hear you're somebody who's able to get things. I've been known to get some stuff from time to time. And then you're like, can I get some Cadbury olives? And you'll be like, Cadbury olives? What do you want that for? That might cost you. And he's like, well, it's like a rock hammer, 6-7 inches long, but they're olives. And he's like, anyway, so you can go there and you can just get what you want. Now, I don't know if this happens at the IGA, because you get those like corn pone, I just like using that word, those like corn pone country stores out in the middle of nowhere, and they've just got like milk and butter and bread, just like basic stuff. And then you go to like one near the country club and it's got like truffle oil and all this crazy saffron and all this stupid crap that nobody even knows how to use, truffle oil. If you can tell the difference between truffle oil and like the cheapest fake olive oil, I'll be impressed, which I won't be because you can't. My point is this: they cater to like the demographic that they have, and that's fine, whatever. Corn pone it up, baby. I don't think corn pone is a verb, but whoever came up with that word, y'all are y'all are tinging on being naughty, you know. Corn Pone. I think that'd be a cool name for a person. Corn Pone Johnson, you know. That's a good like blues player from the Delta South, you know. He's got Corn Pone Johnson coming to the stage, you know. He's got his he's got his lap steel guitar, and he just plays some ruthless blues because he sold his soul to the devil, you know, like his cousin Robert Johnson. I didn't mean to make him a Johnson, but I did, so whatever. But yeah, and I'll tell you another thing I don't like. Well, let me tell you this. Last night, great thing happened. Two great things happened. Duke won, beat number 1 Michigan, which should put them into the vaulted number 1 spot, and that was a good game. That was like a high level. Like, to schedule that kind of game that late in the season, that's impressive. That was like a Final Four game, you know? And it could be in a few weeks, once again. But Cameron Boozer proved that he's the better person on the floor. And I hate that Cadeau kid. That stupid hair and dumb, whatever. Anyway, he got injured. I silently was happy. But, so that was a great win. But as great as that was, because there's nothing that gives me more of a dopamine rush than, like, my children and Duke basketball. Like, those are the top 2 things in my life that, like, I enjoy doing the most. But I talked to my girl last night who's in Texas for the weekend for about an hour or so. And because she was without cell service for most of the day. And it rivaled Duke basketball, I got to tell you. It's funny, the dopamine rush you get from other humans as well. But there's that. And last thing I'll say is this. I don't understand why people have to be like, and people have to like be involved. Have you ever noticed, like, I read the comments of stuff all the time, and they'll be like, there was a robbery at the Circle K, and somebody in the comments will be like, my cousin was working, and she saw the whole thing. And like, why does everybody want to interject themselves into everything? And I've tried the last few years, I've really made a conscious effort to just like pull back and not share so much information. And I know it's hard for you to believe as much as I talk, but what I'm saying is like if somebody came up and they started talking about guitar, the old me would be like, oh, I play guitar. I have 37 guitars, and I've been playing since '89, and blah, 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 blah. And I just like, what's the point, you know? If somebody talks about tattoos, like, if they notice I have a tattoo, great. If not, I'm not rolling up my sleeves to show anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to, like, make an overt attempt to, like, not be involved in like, you just won't, like, it's just this natural tendency for humans to want to insert themselves and be like, look at me, look at what I've done, look at what I can add to the conversation and whatnot. I can know everything there is to know about Dungeons and Dragons, and I don't. I have no clue how you even play that game with a 12-sided die. And is it 12-sided die? 16-sided? I only know that because of a Weezer song. I think it's 12-sided die. Anyway, I have no clue. But let's say I knew everything about it. And, you just have this thing inside of you that wants you to, tell everything that you know about. And I've tried to make a concerted effort to not do that. And it's very difficult sometimes because people are so dumb. I heard a guy talking the other day about, driving, and I fancy myself a good driver. I don't fancy myself. I am a good driver. I can do things in a car that most people can't do. And that's fine. It's just one of my skills. And I heard a guy talking, and it was all I could do I had to walk away. I didn't want to interject myself into the situation because he had no clue what he was talking about. Anyway, somebody that can't heel toe shift shouldn't be talking about driving. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Anyway, y'all have a good one. Giddy.